Hey kids, I hope you're having a great day today. I wanted to introduce you to my friend Charlo. This right here is Charlo. He's a cheetah. And believe it or not, I got Charlo when I was, I don't know, 19, 20 years old, which is kind of old for a big kid to get a stuffed animal. But the reason I got him is people knew that I loved wild cats. I love wild cats. And before I wanted to be a pastor, I wanted to be a wildlife biologist. I wanted to spend all my time outside with wild animals, studying them and learning about them and teaching other people about them because I think wild animals are amazing. I love being outside and in the wilderness. Our story today from the Bible, as we begin the season of Lent, is about Jesus also loving the wilderness. God's Spirit sent Jesus out into the wilderness where he was tempted by Satan for 40 days, but also it was a good place. It was a place where Jesus was strengthened in his spirit. It's where he was tested to remember who he was, to remember that God loves him and what God had called him to do. And it was after the wilderness that Jesus began his ministry. So the wilderness has always been an important part of God's people. The Israelites spent 40 years in the wilderness, and it was where they received God's law. And the wilderness can be a place where many of us experience the presence of God. And so our memory verse for today is very simple from Mark chapter 1, verse 13. He was with the wild animals. He was with the wild animals. And so I invite you for this Lenten season to find some time to be out in the wild. And what does wild even mean? Wild means a place where human beings are not in control, where they don't own the land, they're not using the land for farming, they're not using it for ranching, so that if you see any plants or see any animals, they are free and wild and can do whatever they want. And so maybe that means going camping or going for a hike or going to a park or going just for a walk outside. And so the activity I want you to do is to spend some time outside and to find something wild, an animal or a plant. So a plant that's wild is one that's growing even though you didn't plant it. It's just there. I want you to look close at that or find a wild animal, a bird or a squirrel maybe, and I want you to observe and notice. And I want you to think about what makes a wild animal or plant special and strong. The other thing I want you to think about is how do you feel when you are in the wilderness, when you are out in the wild? Maybe you feel energized, maybe you feel a little bit like it's dangerous and you need to be safe. You could feel a lot of different things, but I'd love to know what you feel in the wilderness. And again, your challenge is for the whole season of Lent, 40 days about you have, to spend some time in the wild, more than a few minutes. Go on a hike with your family. If you like to go camping, go camping. And remember that Jesus was with the wild animals and that Jesus spent time in the wilderness and that the wilderness during Lent and at all times can be a very holy place for us. So remember, our memory verse is, he was with the wild animals. He was with the wild animals, talking about Jesus. In Mark chapter 1, verse 13, your activity is to spend a few minutes outside and find something wild and notice what's special about that wild animal or plant. And your challenge is to, sometime during Lent, to spend an extended amount of time in the wilderness. Maybe an hour on a hike or going camping or spending time outside and experiencing God in the wilderness. So, hope you have a great week. I'd love to hear your stories as we get together online and hear how you're doing. I know Charlo, my buddy over here, would love to hear them too. God bless you. Know that God loves you. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.